Welcome, welcome. We are live. We're just going to absolutely vibe in here whilst we wait for people to join. But we're going live. I'm going to share on... let me go share my socials as well. Come on now. Let's see. Tottenham are in trouble. We have more players injured. We haven't got signings. I don't know what's going on at the club. I have no idea. Let's get this shared. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If anyone's coming in, we are here to talk about Tottenham's woes, as well as preview the Bournemouth game, which I am really not looking forward to. Really not looking forward to. I hate this mic. I've had it for like 10 years. Evening, Liam. Welcome, welcome. To anyone joining, please make sure to share with everyone. We're going to here to discuss Spurs, Tottenham versus Bournemouth. Bournemouth away. We all know what happened in the home game last time. It was absolutely horrific. And it gets worse because players are dropping like flies. We saw KUDUS go down injured in the last match. And it's not looking good. Apparently the scans are worse than feared. Which, I don't understand how that's possible. Welcome, Dan. We need to play Luca Williams-Barnett tomorrow. You know what? We actually genuinely might have to. I don't think he will. I'm just going to say that. I don't think he will. But, yeah, we potentially will have to. I don't know. I've got this chat box here. Oh, it is appearing. Okay, there we go. This wasn't working yesterday when I was doing it before, the chat box. But it's on there now, so you can see, which is good. But, yeah. Today, we're going to be discussing everything that's going wrong with Tottenham. I don't think anything's going right at the moment. We're going to be looking into our potential lineup for tomorrow against Bournemouth, because at the moment, it's not looking like we've got many forwards. Because if you haven't seen already and looked at the news, KUDUS. Tottenham could step up their plans to sign a forward this month after scans showed Mohamed Kudus' injury is worse than feared. Now, worse than feared from what I've seen is about 6 to 8 weeks, which we all know in Spurs terms also means 3 months. So it's not looking good for us. So we've sold Johnson at the beginning of the window. We've got Kudus injury. No one knows what's happening with Kulusevski, because that's just gone absolutely mental. It looked like he was going to come back before Solanke, but then we haven't heard anything from him since. And now we're seeing Solanke in training, in photos. But it won't be a while before he's back anyway. Ben saying, is that all? It's bad. What is it? Yeah, they haven't really said to the extent what it is, but from what I've read, it's about 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, good old Billy. People need to calm down about the Kudus injury. The only games he will miss are FA Cup, 2 Champions League games, City, Arsenal, United, Newcastle, and probably a Champions League playoff. Relax. Oh, if you don't laugh, you cry. If you don't laugh, you cry. Luca will give us the fans a massive boost. Also, he's a family friend too. Oh, that's good to know. But no, honestly, I've wanted to see more from him ever since we kind of put onto him last season, where he was absolutely tearing it up for the the under-18s at the time, and obviously now he's sort of in the under-21s in the PL2, still looking really, really good. You know, like in the Champions League when you get to catch we play the same team, but like earlier in the day. I've watched a few of those games of the youth team playing in the Champions League, whilst just waiting at work, and he looked really, really good in those games. And you know what? I think he could give him a match. We don't have a number 10 available. Actually, no, I tell a lie. Xavi is back. So we do have a number 10 available. But I think we could do with a little bit of youth injection into the team. And I think we don't really know the true levels that these players are ever going to reach. But I think what's nice is that a lot of fans can really get behind an academy player, you know? I think they'll support them almost a bit unconditionally at the beginning because let's just say he doesn't have an incredible performance. You kind of give them that leeway, right? Because he's a young player. But yeah, I feel like we could do with something like that because at the moment nothing is going well at all. So yeah, I was trying to look into see what, if anything, if there were any scans have shown Mohamed Kudus' injury is worse than first feared. Right, okay. We have changed our medical staff completely since we've had these issues, but everything still seems to be a problem. And I know it's league-wide, right? Like you've seen the whole Premier League are having issues. Man City have got an abundance of injuries. Arsenal had a few earlier in the season. Newcastle have had quite a few. Everyone just seems to be dropping like flies. But once again, I'm just going to share this on the story on Instagram. But how have you guys been, other than the fact of realizing that Spurs, you can just never have a quiet day with Spurs around? It's actually impossible. George, who do you think we should buy? Okay, I think we'll get into that in a second. Let me just hold on. I'm just going to share this onto my Instagram so we can get the ball rolling. So basically, the plan of attack I'm thinking is, and I'm kind of like new to this sort of streaming thing, really. I say new. I did it ages ago in lockdown, watching like live reactions to the match. So I get that they're not going to be anywhere near as popular now because I haven't really been uploading that much, to be honest with you. So it's kind of my own fault that I've sort of let the channel die a little bit, which is quite sad. But hey ho, I'm enjoying trying to do something new. I think the problem is because I'm so busy in life now compared to 8 years ago, whenever I started doing it, that I don't have the time to make as much video content as I want to do. So it's really nice to be able to actually maybe go live like we are now and just have like a little chat with people. And hopefully this just grows over time if you guys enjoy it as well. Cool, that's posted to there. Let me just, and this chat box is about to cover my face in a second. So I just need to make sure that it's all good. But yeah, we'll get on to the starting lineup that I think we should go with tomorrow. Well, one I think it should be, and then also what I think Frank will choose. And equally, we're going to look at potential replacements. I say replacements, not really replacements, but potential forwards that we should sign. I mean, we're looking for a left winger anyway. Now we're going to have to look for another forward. I don't think the club will sign two, but there's two that I have in mind that I think would be really good, actually. And yeah, just have a general discussion with what's going on with Spurs before the game against Bournemouth tomorrow. Have a look at a bit of their record. Have a look at a bit of the previous match. I'm going to whack out the tactics board in a second and discuss that. We're going to look at the previous match. But for now, we're just discussing the KUDUS injury being worse than we thought and the fact that we're going to have to sign another forward. Right, I need to crop this. Where is it? Browser settings, height. I need it to be like 500. Does that work? And then move that down. Let's make it 400. There we go. Just for this one. That'll fit a bit better. Nice. Audio a bit quiet or just me? Let me just whack this up a little bit. Oh, I've got it's the maximum that I don't know why it's so quiet. It's like the maximum I've got my mic on. I don't get why it's literally on its maximum here. And it's the maximum in Streamlabs as well. I don't quite understand why it's so quiet. Yeah, it's literally at max volume. All right, that means I'm just going to have to shout then. Okay. Okay. Am I going to the game tomorrow? No. Bournemouth is now the only stadium that I have not been to in the Premier League because I'm literally about 4 like loyalty points away from getting it. Uh, a bit loud enough to be fair. Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry to hurt anyone's ears. I just need to learn to be a bit more vocal in these situations. Yeah, so I'm not going to Bournemouth, sadly, so I'm going to be watching it from home. I might do another one of these streams after the match as like a post-match reaction, if you guys would be interested in something like that. But as for now, I'm not going to the game, but I will be at the Villa game on Saturday. Are any of you going tomorrow or at the weekend? Let me know. Da, 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 da. Wait, did I not post? Wait, that did put. Why is that? I don't know why that's weird. Yeah, so at the moment we're just looking into the KUDUS injury, the fact that it's probably looking close to 2 months being out, and you could sense this from an absolute mile off. That it's gonna, the over reliance on KUDUS in every single game has come back to bite us. Isn't that a shock? Jolly Charles, time for the French trio to step up. Tell Colo and Odebert. Yeah, I could easily see that being. Well, I can see all three playing. Definitely. Where they play is a different question because I think we've been playing. Colomwani out of position. He didn't impress me the last game, but we keep playing him on the wing, and I just don't think that's his best position at all. I was supposed to be going tomorrow, but university means I won't make it on time. It's a very long journey. I live in Newcastle now. Oh, my fiance went to uni in Newcastle. Yeah, I've had to do that journey loads. And my mum's from Sunderland as well. So that's, yeah, it's a long old journey. But yeah, I was looking into some transfer. Let me just go on Tottenham's account for a second. Because I'm pretty sure they posted. Oh, no, it wasn't them. I'm not sure who posted it, actually. But anyway. Liam, so typical with us selling Johnson. KUDUS gets injured in the game after. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty standard from us, isn't it? Why does that move to there? The thing is, I was actually happy is not the right word. I like the fact that Spurs actually were being proactive and selling a player and getting more money for them. But then it's just so typical that we lose our talisman in that forward line for 2 months. Bear in mind, February's fixtures are absolutely horror. Let me bring up our fixtures a second. Okay, so. I don't know if you can see that clearly, but. Oh, sorry, excuse me. I've been fighting a cold and a cough. Bournemouth away tomorrow. I mean, the rest of this month is relatively okay. I mean, Villa in the Cup, I'm not expecting much. Normally, I'd say we're at home, so that's better, but our home form has been absolutely diabolical this season. West Ham at home. As bad as we have been at home, though, I would like to think we can beat West Ham because my goodness, do they look absolutely shocking. Dortmund at home, that's a massive game. These last 2 Champions League games, Dortmund, Frankfurt away, if we can somehow win both, because we've actually done pretty well in the Champions League overall, especially in terms of results. If we can somehow win both and secure top 8 and just not have to do a preliminary round, that would be so good. But, yeah. With the way we're running at the moment, not so good. But like the maddest thing is like Dr. Tottenham is coming in full effect right now because Bournemouth winless in 11 games. All right, Villa, they've been really good so far, but that just means we're going to get knocked out the FA Cup. West Ham winless in God knows how many games as well. Probably going to sack Nuno before we play them. New manager bounce, we'll end up losing to them. Dortmund, that's a tough game to be fair. But Champions League, anything can happen. Burnley away, again, haven't won a game in God knows how long. We'll give them a win at home against Scott Parker as well. And then we enter the absolute hell that is February. Man City at home. All right, granted, we, for some reason, seems to do really well against Man City. Man United away. I know they're not great, but again, interim manager, Ollie's probably going to be at the wheel. it's up and down whether we get results there or not. Newcastle at home, Arsenal at home, and then even Fulham away. We've had some horrible results there recently. And then Palace at home, Liverpool away. Oh my God, up until 14th of March. That is an absolute nightmare. And the fact that we couldn't pick up 3 points here and 3 points here, absolutely shocking. Genuinely shocking. Frank is not willing to take a risk as he claimed. Yeah, that's unfortunately been the absolute nightmare of this season so far. Says he's all about risks. Never actually does them. Oh, funny enough, West Ham are actually winning 1-0. Murillo own goal against Nottingham Forest. Nuno might survive just yet. He might survive just yet. But when talking about replacement, I keep saying replacements. I don't mean replacements. When talking about new winger signings that I think would be good for our forward line, I think Billy T tweeted it as well, but I agree with him 100%. There's someone that I thought we could have got late in the end of the summer window is Ademola Lookman. I know he's away at AFCON with Nigeria at the moment, but look, we are missing a bagsman in this side. We don't have anyone that shoots often or actually just simply gets a lot of goals on a consistent basis. Richie's our top goal scorer, which pretty much says everything we need to know. And the fact that, all right, he's played more minutes consistently this season, but when we're talking about someone who has got consistent gameplay, really attacks forward lines, he's not like that. He's in my opinion, better off as just like a poacher in the box. So really and truly, our front line's absolutely decimated. We don't have anyone that can score goals since we sold Sonny and Johnson and Kane in the last 3 years. So we need someone who could bag goals. So I'd go for Ademola Lookman for the left wing. It's somewhat of a short-term fix because he's 28 years old, which, to be honest, is a positive. He's experienced. He got that hat-trick in the Europa League final for Atalanta. He had a bust-up with the manager in the summer, but obviously they've changed managers since, and apparently they're claiming a hefty fee, which is mad because he's been so vocal about leaving. I don't know what's going on there, but I would personally go for Ademola Lookman for our left-wing option. And now that KUDUS is going to be out for 2 months and we've been looking at him anyway, I would go for Magnus Achillea, the Monaco right wing. Well, I say he's right winger. Actually, technically, he sort of plays right wing and attacking mid. He's a bit of a 10 right wing hybrid. Let me get his... Sorry for the coughing. Let me get his FB ref up so you can see. Oh, I need to zoom out because you can't see that. Is that going to come up? Let me just move this across. There we go. Magnus Achillea. What's he done this season? This season so far, 16 games, 3 goals, 2 assists. Actually underperforming his goals, not by much though. 2 assists in the Champions League as well. Now, I know people get excited when they see green bars. That's don't base any of your opinions just purely on green bars and stuff like this. But this is good to sort of just get more of an idea of the type of player they are because you can see what they excel at. You see pass completion percentage quite high. The fact is tackles and interceptions are quite high for an attacking mid and winger suggests to me that he is really good at winning the ball, pressing high up the pitch. And to be honest, I saw him live in the flesh at Monaco. I was there, and he looked brilliant, in my opinion. I think he looked fearless. He plays for the France first team, whereas we've got 2 of their under-21s right now. So, hey, let's bring in another one. I don't care. Let's just build a French dynasty, because I think they've got some of the best youngsters in the world right now. It's the passes that I like. The passes attempted, pass completion, progressive passing, whereas... At the moment, I think we've got a lot of good ball carriers. Like KUDUS is good at taking players on. Odebear's also got that ability to take players on as well. When we're missing Maddison, we don't have anyone in that side that plays that like killer pass. I mean, it shows by the way we've been playing. We've got 9 through balls this whole season. That is rock bottom of the Premier League table, which is mental for Tottenham Hotspur to be rock bottom for a stat like through balls is insane. because we don't have Madison. That is basically Madison's job, and the only other players that can do it are Porro and Romero. But because they're so deep, that's all about long balls over the top for Thomas Frank. So that doesn't work either. So I think we need someone like an Achillea who's really comfortable right wing, really comfortable in the middle, so that when Kudus is back, he can play in the centre, either alongside Xavi or sometimes when we need to rest Xavi, this, that, and the other. I've watched him a few times over the last year now. I say last year about... It was about last year, to be fair, because I've been looking into wingers since last January. Yeah, so it would have been a year since he popped up. And he's impressed me a lot for such a young player. I really don't get these comparisons. I feel like they're never... Not that they're not accurate, but it's just... They're so pointless. You're always better off making your own judgment. Let's just see what he's the best at. Pass completion long. Thomas Frank, you seeing this? You seeing this? You want someone to progress from deep? Oh, my goodness. Tackles in the middle third. Yeah, so he's good at winning the ball back. Relatively high. They pass into the final third. Type of player we need. And bearing in mind, Monaco aren't... What are Monaco's? I was about to type Monaco. I haven't actually looked at the league table for Ligue 1 at the moment. Oh, Monaco are ninth. Monaco aren't even really doing that well in the league. Yet for his stats to be some of the best in Europe for the last year. Pretty impressive. It's not all about stats, obviously, but I can't show you footage. It's obviously I would get demonetized and deleted off YouTube if I did. So unfortunately, this is the only way we can look at. And in fact, I like looking at their SOFA score because you can actually see their sort of their average positions throughout the season. So yeah, so it's been a lot right wing this season. Where is the... There it is. Season heat map. There you go. So it's mainly on the right. Has played attacking midfield a lot, but mainly on the right. Someone that we could definitely do with to play instead of KUDUS as well as alongside KUDUS as well. Liam, I like the sound of him, but the Premier League is above the French League. That is an old false misconception. Get it out your head. Get it out your head. Ligue 1 is actually right now, and has been for the last couple of years, the closest to the Premier League in terms of physicality. It used to be the Bundesliga like 10 years ago. It's changed massively now. Ligue 1, I have to watch a whole video and show you, and that it's too long to go into detail. But I watched a few videos of some tactical analysis and some reports, and they looked at so many different metrics across the leagues in terms of like putting on pressure high up the pitch, like the PPDA, pressure allowed, which is normally a good sign of how well teams press up in leagues and this, that, and the other. And they basically worked out that Ligue 1 is one of the most physical leagues in Europe right now, which is why we're seeing a lot of French league players recently adapting to the Premier League quicker, like a Cherki, for example. They're adapting to the Premier League quicker a lot more than the Bundesliga players are. Wirtz is struggling. Xavi Simons is struggling. It's not always one for one. It's not just like every single Bundesliga player is going to struggle. But in recent times, the Bundesliga has been nowhere near as physical as Ligue 1 has been. And then you've got basically like Premier League at the top. It's more, but when I say physicality, it's not just about brute strength. It's about intensity on the pitch as well. Like how hard teams press. Like man-to-man pressing in the Premier League is on a next level. But Ligue 1 are doing that really well as well. If you just watch Strasbourg against PSG in the 3-3, the pressing they did in that, they had their centre-backs pressing up past the midfielders to stay man-to-man. It's incredible. So I think, genuinely, hand on heart, someone like Achillea will have an easier time adapting to the Premier League than Xavi Simons has so far. Which is why I would like to take a punt on him. I say take a punt, it's because obviously he's not playing in like a top team, but we can't afford the top team players. So if we don't get him, someone else will snap him up. And then it will just be that time again where we say, oh, why didn't we get him when we had the chance? I truly believe it. So I think with this KUDUS news and the fact that we sold Johnson, I personally would go for Achillea as my number one target right now for that sort of right wing, but can also play attacking mid spot once KUDUS is back. And I would personally, I know we've been heavily linked to Savinho, and don't get me wrong, if Savinho came through the door, I think he's quite underrated. I know his actual output isn't great, which is why I suggest someone like an Ademola Lookman would be good, because you just know that he's more of a goal scorer, which we don't have at the moment. Where Savinho would definitely be a lot more of like a creative player out excuse me, out wide, and would still have the issue of not scoring many goals. So I think Lookman and Achillea would be incredible. Do I think either, both are going to happen? Absolutely not. If we want to be a possession based, then we need to sell Johnson, I think. Oh, then we needed to sell Johnson. I think it shows competitive intent from the board. You know, I agree with you. And I said that at the time as well. I released a video on my Instagram and I said, selling Johnson, in my opinion, and I will love him forever for what he did in that Europa League final. That is like the greatest memory of my lifetime. But for what we're trying to build and the team that I think we should try and become, having someone like Johnson, I just personally don't think gets us to that position, you know? So I agree with you there. I think selling him for a pretty decent fee. I know we take a loss overall because we signed him for about 47 mil, but no, I think that's a smart move. A smart move for him as well. I know his first game didn't go too great, but I really do think that he'll thrive in that sort of transitional Glasner type team once he gets sort of bedded and had more training and this, that, and the other. So yeah, Achillea, Lookman, that's what I'd go for this window. I don't think either would happen. We still need a deep line playmaker. That's not going to happen. And Adam Wharton is a dream signing, but I can't see that happening in January. That's more of a summer move. Another one is Lamine Camara, again from Monaco, Senegalese, Pape Sarr's compatriot. Bit on the shorter side, but I think if we're talking about players that can progress the ball from deeper positions, he is class. And I wonder if I can... I do love a bit of an FB ref. I think they just summarised that so well. Excuse me. Let me just bring up his thing. Give me 1 second. Oh, hold on. Okay, so let me just bring up Lamine Camara 1 sec. I think this would be genuinely a brilliant... This one's definitely, I'd say, more of a punt than anything because he is 5'8". But hey, N'Golo Kante was one of the best midfielders in the league, if not one of the greatest midfielders in the Premier League era. And he was very short. Lamine Camara. Can we just go raid Monaco? I think that would be the ideal situation here. Ligue 1, 9 matches played so far, 3 assists. He is a central midfielder. He's a deep line playmaker, which is something that we're desperately missing. Someone that can be able to drive the ball quickly, long passes from deeper positions, and dictate play from deeper positions. If we just go to his full report a second. Hey, look, even compared to Modric and Wharton, as much as I said I don't believe in it, there you go. Even FB Ref knows, and Stiller. I've just put them in order of like what he's best at in the 99%. 99% for assists for centre mids, for midfielders, is insane. Corner kicks, ball recoveries. Now that is something that Adam Wharton is very good at as well. So clearly, when you are a midfielder, you also need to be able to track back and win, and to be able to stop transitions happening against you. So it's not just about being able to create. Can you also recover and win the ball back, which is 99 percentile again. Crosses, vital from deep positions, whipping them in or at least switching play. Because I'm not sure how they quite... I don't know how they define crosses on this because I don't know if it means... I mean, they have a specific stat for crosses into the box. So maybe when they say crosses, it's more about like switching play, which again, I think is vitally important for what we want to do. Passes attempted long, 11 per 90, 94th percentile expected assists. I don't know. Assisted goals are basically the same thing. I don't understand that. Touch the midfield third, so likes to get on the ball a lot. Key passes, 2 per match, 92nd percentile. Goal creating actions on a take on. And I again, like I said, I'd love to show you clips of him because I truly think he's the exact type of player we need, but I can't because YouTube will just completely send my channel into the bin. But yeah, you're just going to have to trust me that this guy is exactly the type of midfielder that we need, despite his height. Lamine Kamara and Adam Wharton. I see you're suggesting Gallagher or Paqueta in the chat. Paqueta, I was definitely interested in the summer. I'd argue he's definitely more of like a 10, though. And I don't know if I would really want to use him on the wing. If we didn't sign Xavi Simons, I would have had Paqueta on the list, but I think it's just going to have to be an avoid, to be honest with you. And then Gallagher, you know what? I genuinely have not really watched that much Atletico Madrid recently, so I can't really tell you too much about how Gallagher's been. I thought he looked way better when he was on loan at Palace, when he played a much more advanced role. Nowadays, I'm not too sure, really. But yeah. But that's what I think. And then I'd love for us to get a left back as well. I know we're linked to that Sousa in Brazil. I categorically cannot say I know anything about him. But let's just say our hit rate for Brazilians have not been great. So, yeah. Anyway, let's take a brief look at our last match against Bournemouth. Looking at the lineups as well. Let me see if I zoom in. Let's make it easier for you lot to see. Is that better? Yeah. There we go. That's a bit better. So the lineup for them is going to be somewhat similar. A few changes. We'll get into that in a second. Let's have a look at how the game went, because we know that it was not good for us. I don't want to see the player. Where's the... Hold on, am I going mad? Oh! No. I wanted to see the previous match. Hold on. Bear with. I wanted to see the previous match. Why did we play them right at the start of the season? I'm crying out loud, I went too far. Bournemouth, 1-0 loss. There we go. Right, okay. Now we're talking. The way I remember this game going is just... They were so good at shutting us down on our right-hand side to force us to go towards Van der Ven, because we knew he wasn't as confident on the ball. And was it Spence starting this one? And the fact that Jed Spence was starting as well, so he's right-footed. So we knew that creating on this left-hand... I mean, to be honest with you, that left-hand side is diabolical. Not that it's diabolical, like Spence is a great player. It's just, I think, when we don't have a left-footed left-back on that side of the pitch, you saw... When I saw Davis in that lineup at the weekend, I was like, oh my God, what is Davis doing on our lineup in 2026? But we genuinely looked better in that first half, because... It's so underrated actually having a naturally left-footed left-back in his position, because he's able to create more comfortably. He can pass out wide more comfortably, or even cross in from that sort of half space that we saw Davis do to the back post, which was really... You know what? He actually impressed me a lot, considering that I really still don't think we should be starting Ben Davis in 2026. But they did so well at pressing us on our right-hand side here, because they're the only two that can create, Porro and Romero. And it just meant that Vicario had to go left ways towards Van der Ven, who back then wasn't anywhere near as comfortable on the ball. I think he's much better now. He's improved massively on the ball this season. And obviously, like I said, because Jed Spence is right-footed, he naturally has to cut in and pass this way. And they were just so good at blocking those lanes out. So they were really good at pressing that day. And I thought we were so poor overall. I mean, look, Palinha, Bentancur, Pat Matasar, no natural 10. I don't think we had signed Xavi by that point. Johnson, Richie, Kudus. Yeah, it weren't great. We had all the possession, but created nothing with it. Look at that, 0.19 XG. A lot of people like to discredit XG. I think it's not... Let me put it this way. You shouldn't care about it for every single game in isolation, like in a single match. Like, I'm not saying that the XG is the be all and end all, because you can win games having not had that much XG and vice versa and whatever. So it's good across the whole season. And I said this on my stream the other day. It's good across the whole season because it almost shows the trend of like how good is the team at creating high quality chances, basically just like closer to the goal, or like at least more centrally. Whereas in there could be a whole load of context as to why it might be lower than others, but that is just a diabolical difference. Bearing in mind, we're a home team, 0.19 to 1.59 just showed that we could not create anything. I mean, we had 5 shots to their 20. They had 3 big chances. I mean, look at our 5 shots. 2 from this position here. It was at Odobert and Udogie, which is, bearing in mind, look, those shots inside the box. The only 2 shots we've had inside the box were in the 79th minute from Odobert, who was a substitute, and Destiny Udogie, who was a substitute, in the 98th minute. We had a shot from miles out from Pedro Porro. These are all in the second half. Tell, again, shooting wide. Bergvall. Is that when Tell did that sort of like scissor kick on the edge? I thought that was really good at the time. All of our shots came in the second half. Most of them outside the box. Crazy. Compared to the... my goodness. That is diabolical. All right, let's go. So, Raphael, welcome. We need to sign Manzabi from Freiburg. He is... actually, that means insane and can play every position. Okay, I'll have to check him out. I don't really know too much about him, to be honest with you. Can we get Brendan back on loan? Yeah, I'll take that. Are you Frank out? How much do you put down to players not being good enough? To be honest, I think I've been on that Frank out side for the last week or maybe last couple of weeks. For me, it's not even just purely about results. Because there have been times where, say, we've lost under Ange or we've lost under Conte or Mourinho or Pochettino. There were times under previous managers where we've lost. But I can clearly see their plan and their vision to create and let us become a more progressive team. It's just maybe the players weren't good enough. Or what they were trying to build, I could really, really get into it and buy into it. We just needed to upgrade positions. So far, and bearing in mind it's been 6 months now, 21 games into the season, I just don't see it. It's an extremely pragmatic approach. And bearing in mind that this is supposed to shore up our defence, we've conceded more goals than we did under Ange at this point last season. We're scoring way less than we did previously under previous managers as well. And I get maybe it's he's focusing more on defence first. But if you're focusing more on defence first, I'm not being funny, I expect the defence to be good. And it's not been. We massively overperformed XG at the start of the season because of the fact that Richie was scoring bicycle kicks and Palinha shot from outside the box. Just stuff that weren't going to hold throughout the whole season. So I personally don't think he's the right man to take us going forward. But I truly believe that he's going to stay until the summer, unless it's something absolutely drastic happens and we lose like 10 games in a row. God forbid. But I think he'll be with us until the end of the season and then we'll reassess. Probably looking to get Pochettino back, to be honest with you. Let me guys know in the chat as well. Are you guys Frank in, Frank out? What are you saying on the situation? Richard Knight, still say we go 3 at the back. Definitely a possibility. We're going to get into our predicted lineup in a second. Good shout, though. Javi Simmons was signed but couldn't play. What? Ah, sorry. Yes, you're responding to when I said I don't think we're signed at that point. Yes. Okay, good. Think it could be lower away to Bournemouth. Yeah, if you're talking about the XG, yeah. Why is Spurs low-key not doing anything this window? Oh my god, I'm dying. Well, welcome to Tottenham Hotspur. We the whole situation with Paratici, who's now leaving to go to Fiorentina, and he's taken Solomon with him. That means we're left with Johan Langer, who got demoted, although they said promoted, but really it's demoted, to signing just youth players. To now he's going to be the one in charge, and we know he does things sort of under the radar. He's not like a you're not going to know about his targets, But the fact that they wouldn't have planned for Paratici to leave 2 months after joining in, I reckon the behind the scenes it's all gone mental. So I think we're not. And to be honest, we're also probably waiting for Semenyo to go to Man City, which is going to happen on Thursday. Well, actually, his medical's on Thursday, the day after he plays us. But of course. Which means they'll probably announce his signature on Friday, ready for the weekend for the FA Cup. They must still be in the FA Cup. I don't know who they've got, though. Oh, no, it's the first round, isn't it? It's first round, so of course they're still in it. Yeah, so I think we're waiting for Semenyo to go there so that we can go back for Savinho, even though he's technically injured right now. And I guarantee they're going to reject it anyway. We're going to waste 2 weeks, and then we're going to get into the last week, and we're going to get someone on loan. Or we're going to sign Raheem Sterling on a 6-month contract. That is my one prediction for this window, that Raheem Sterling will end up being in a Spurs shirt come the end of the window. Achillea happening, question mark. That is, I wish, Callum. I wish. I've not heard anything about any transfers happening at the moment. I'm definitely not in the know, by the way. It's not like I'm not like pretending that I have all this mad information. I just am from years of supporting Spurs and just murmurings of it just being, well, I say murmurings, lack of. It's just really quiet. I don't think we're going to sign anyone for a couple of weeks. Or if we do, maybe it's the left back that from Brazil. But again, how long that actually takes for us to get the deal over the line, I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, let's have some fun. Let's try and work out the lineup. Let's try and work out the lineup. Now, I've tried to put in like a predicted... let me just move this across a little bit. I've tried to put in what I think Bournemouth's... let me move that across as well. I've tried to put in what I think Bournemouth's lineup will be, given their injuries. Savinho had some terrible performances this season, though. Yeah, they were really bad at the start. They definitely grew, though. I watched a couple of his Champions League ones, are actually all right. I think it's also the fact that he wanted out in the summer. It was a whole big thing. I think, yeah, I think his head just probably wasn't in the right place. I definitely think he's better than he's shown this season. I don't think he's like the single answer. Don't get me wrong. It's not like if we sign Savinho, we'll be like, oh, that's it. We're back. Tottenham's back. I don't think that'll be the case at all. But I do think he probably would push for a move because he wants regular minutes so that he can get into the World Cup squad. And I think we could 100% offer him that. Although I say that, he probably will for a bit and then Frank will decide to not use him. We need to buy players that are ready to go straight into the team. If you buy youngest, might as well put the kids in. Yeah, for the most part, I agree. If we're talking like young, inexperienced players, like say we signed a Bergvall equivalent winger who come from a lower league, who's just a youngster with a really high potential, I agree. You might as well just play the youth, like Luca Williams-Barnett or whoever else is for whatever position, whether it's Olasesi midfield or whatever. But if we're talking like a young player but who is extremely experienced, like an Achillea, for example, who is 22 but has played Champions League for the last couple of years, is doing well in the French league, where I said earlier in the stream, it's the physicality of the French league is actually similar to the Premier League, more so than other leagues in Europe anyway. So I think that could translate well. So I think that, like, for example, the 18-year-old left back, I don't know anything about him, but an 18-year-old left back moving from Brazil screams to me that they're going to need quite a bit of an adaptation period and won't hit the ground running. Whereas someone like Achillea, for example, who's obviously a 22-year-old but plays for the French first team, he's got Champions League experience, that I can get behind. So let's just start off with the Bournemouth side that I think, and the only one I can't really work out the position for is this, I guess, number 10 position. Whether they go for a number 10, I don't know if they're going to go up top if they choose Krupi Jr. I'm not too sure because Kluivert, I don't know if you saw, 23, 24. Well, there you go. So he's not even, well, that is young, but not as young as I was saying. Yeah, so if some of you didn't know, Cliver has had to undergo surgery, so he's not going to be available for a while. So they're missing him in midfield. I think Cook's still out injured. Diakite's still out injured. No, sorry, he's at Afcon, isn't he? Either way, he's not available. I can't remember what. No, I mean he must be at Afcon. Either way, Petrovic in goal. I imagine the back four is going to be the same as what it was recently. Truffert, Senesi, Hill, Jimenez. Scott and Tavernier in midfield seems pretty nailed on. Tottenham boy, Alex Scott. Big up. Semenyo on the left, who will definitely terrorise us for his last game. Send off in front of the home crowd. Brooks on the right. Evan Nilsson up top. And then this is the big question mark. They've got Adley, who I think could start in the 10. Krupi Jr., in my opinion, has looked really good every time he's come off the bench. And but whether he's better as an impact, I don't know. So it could be the case that they almost go for this two-striker hybrid. Krupi could almost be a bit of both. Or it could be Adley, I don't know. Either way, I think it will be some form of this shape or lineup for them. What about Illiman and Dye? I love Illiman and Dye, but I agree with Boris saying that Everton will ask far too much. I don't know about 90 mil, but I just don't see us paying whatever Everton want for him. But let's have the fun of trying to work out the Spurs lineup. In fact, what way do I do it? I'm going to go with what I think Frank will do first. And then I'm going to do the lineup that I would choose. To be fair, they're probably going to be quite similar purely because we do not have many options at all. Excuse me, I'm coughing. I'm still trying to fight off this cold. I think the one just non-debatable, although actually this season, who knows? But Vicario will be in goal. There's no doubt about that. And I also think... Do I think Frank is going to choose a back three? It's a possibility. I don't think he'll do it, to be honest. Let's go Van der Ven and Romero. Whilst I'm typing this out as well, make sure to leave in the chat who you think you would choose for this. Like, what formation would you go with? Would you go for back three? Would you go for a back four? I think he's not going to change much, even though actually... With the players that we have, a back three probably isn't the worst idea. As long as it doesn't become 5-2-3 like it did against Arsenal. If it's truly like three at the back and we build up as a three at the back, it could work. What is he going to do versus what I would do? Porro surely starts. Although he starts like every game. He just seems to always play every match. Now, Davis played most of last game. I preferred having a left-footed left back. See, I would go Davis. But I just think he would choose Spence. It should be Davis. I just don't know if he would. For some reason... Bentancur just seems to play every minute of every game right about now. So he's definitely going to be in. He's trusted Gray a lot, to be fair. With Palhinha not actually getting that many minutes. I think he sticks by him, you know. I think he sticks by him. Surely Xavi's got to come straight in. I mean, I would. You can't not have him out for 3 matches and not bring him straight back. We need someone like him. Again, he just loves Richie. I think Richie will start. We don't have that many options, to be honest with you, of players available. Then maybe Tell and Odebear. So potential options I'm missing there are Lucas Bergvall or... Oh, he's going to do that again, isn't he? Oh, he's going to play he's gonna play Bergvall in like the 8, not the 8. Sorry, like this like 10, but almost becomes left wing. This is a bit of a hybrid of what I would choose versus what I think he will choose. I'm trying to decide how Frank is going to set us up first, and then I'll say what I think we should do in terms of like in build up play as well. I would go Colomwani up top. I want to see him as a striker. He just seems to play Richie all the time. And to be fair to him, he does score, but I think the rest of his play has not been good enough. Our options for wing are Colomwani, Odobert, Tell, and Frank loves a bit of Bergvall at the left wing sometimes, but surely not. Surely not. I can see it being this. Potentially. I think Odobert did a good job in the 10. So if we were to do it this way, I would like to see like Odobert come here, Porro overlap a little bit. But then that's a reason to play Davis, so Davis can tuck in here. That sort of gives... But then... see, Tell's more of an inside forward. Whereas you then got players all over each other. This is hard. What is Frank going to do? What do you guys think? I can see Frank resting either Romero Van der Ven for Danzo and resting one of them for the Villa game. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, is he going to go full strength for Villa in the Cup, or is he going to go full strength tomorrow and then rest a few later on? That's something I don't know. Especially when we're away from home, we're definitely going to be way more counter-attacking. If we're going more direct and bringing pressure on, I would go Tell. I think because they're not going to be set up as defensively. They're going to press quite high on us. We know that's what Bournemouth have been like. They hound you down. And I think Tell running into space, we haven't yet had a chance to see yet from that left wing position, which I personally would like to see. Boris, we could see Tell and Davis again since Davis doesn't have to push up so much in Frank's system. No, I agree. I think having a left-footed... He did say... Didn't he say that Udogie is... Let me find out from... He said Udogie's available, right? I'm trying to find out from the media thing. Oh, that's news now. I'm trying to find... I'm pretty sure he said in his presser. Football and I can't... There's too many ads everywhere. Destiny is training and doing better. Solanke won't be in the squad. Go for it. These ads are absolutely mental. Destiny Solanke won't be in the squad, but it's positive. So if he's training and doing better, does that mean he's like available? Like to play? I don't know. I would replace Bentancur. I think he's been poor. I agree. At the moment, this is what I think. This is what I think Frank will do. Frank is married to Bentancur. Xavi, Bergvall, and Paulinho would be good. I could see that working. I mean, Paulinho was meant to only play these sort of tough away games, right? So I feel like this would be a good game for Paulinho to actually play for once. But I think he hinders us so much in possession. But if you're expecting Bournemouth to have a lot more of the ball, I don't know if they would. Right, okay, so this is one option in my mind. This is one option. Odegaard and Tell on the wings, Xavi back in the middle, Richie up top, Bentancur, Gray, Porro, Spence, Van der Ven, Romero. And I only say Spence because the fact that Davis played most of that game last match against Sunderland. Maybe he'll play Davis at the Villa. But, I mean, that could easily be Davis as well. I think Davis and Tell would make more sense because Tell could either come out wide, Xavi can come help here. Davis can either come in this position like he did before, whip some crosses in this way, obviously further up the pitch. Because this is what it looked like against Sunderland a lot of the time. Just pretend Xavi was Odobert. A lot of the times, Tell would come about wide. Odobert would be sort of free roam in this little position. Davis would then get the ball here. And he actually surprised me and put a really good ball into the box from this position, which is what we need. We haven't seen a lot of that, to be honest with you, from either side of the pitch. And that you have to have a left footer to do that effectively. Spence doesn't do that well enough. Spence gets the ball here and passes it this way towards one of our midfielders. So I think having Davis would help massively if we're playing Tel left wing. And Xavi can effectively do what Odebear did last time. And then you just have Odebear on the right-hand side. Equally, maybe Colomwani starts at right wing. Because he's played right wing a fair bit recently. Came on, played right wing against Brentford. He played a bit of right wing in the last match because obviously he came on for KUDUS. Hi, George, watching you from France. And I really like content. Appreciate it, my man. Content's been tough this year. I say this year, 2025. It's been tough. Semenyo will cook Porrod, start Spence on the right. That's not a bad shout at all. Genuinely not a bad shout. The only issue I have with that is very defensive focused. And I get why, because Semenyo is incredible. I get why, but you've got Spence, and if it is Colomwani, if it's Bentancur, if this is the three that you've got on this side, how on earth are we going to progress the ball up the pitch? Even if we go long, who's doing the passing? It's going to have to be Romero. The midfielders can't do it. Spence is a brilliant defender, but he's not going to be able to whip a ball down the line the same way Porro does, as much as we need to do more than just that. Like that in terms of in possession, this scares me, this side. It really does. It really does. I think there's a lot more balance on this left when Davis plays. Because Davis can easily come through this way, or Tell, because he's more of an inside forward anyway, starts out wide, drives forward, and Davis can overlap and whip a ball in. I think there's, when you've got someone that is left-footed on this side and having it inside forward, I think there's a lot more balance to the team. And we saw that first half against Sunderland. So I would personally start Davis on the left side, which I cannot believe I'm saying on the 6th of Jan 2026 that we should be starting Davis. But listen, until Ndoggy's fully fit, I just think when we have the ball, we're so limited. And then, to be honest, say Spence was on this side again. I'm just moving Davis over. Just ignore that. This is the focus on Spence for now. They could just pull the same trap that they did in the home game. In the home game, whenever we had the ball, it was like this, right? So I know the rest of the team wasn't exactly what it was, but let's just pretend it. Let's just focus on these four here: Romero, Vicario, Van der Ven, Spence. What they were so good at getting the ball back, and it was, to be fair, brilliant from them. We would take a goal kick. Vicario or usually it would be like Romero would pass to Vicario, so that was in play now. And Vicario wants to go to Romero. Sorry. Sorry, I'm fighting off a cold. Romero wants to go to, that's supposed to be Pedro Porro. Porro wants to go long to KUDUS. That was our plan for most of the start of the season. Bournemouth and the genius that Iraola did in this match against us was basically, effectively, block this side. So Semenyo basically pinned Porro. Evan Nilsson made... what way round was it? Did Evan Nilsson press the ball? I think Evan Nilsson pressed the ball this way. So this is in play now. So Romero's had it, or Van der Ven's played it to Vicario. The ball's in play now. Evan Nilsson would do a run this way towards the ball. Semenyo would be over here. I think it was Scott was really high up at this point. I think Tavernier was in the 10. So let me use him instead. Tavernier was in the 10. So with our midfielders, bear in mind, they just did not do any off-ball work when it was... Who was it? Bentancur... Who was it? It was Bentancur Palinha, right? Yeah, it was Bentancur Palinha. They just offered like no sort of mobility. So I think Scott was then shutting down any potential move to Romero. Tavernier was here. I think Cook was... I'm just going to put Brooks here. Cook. Pretend this is Cook. Cook was putting the pressure on here. So they were going really heavy on their press. But in a lopsided way. It wasn't just like Brooks went straight onto Spence to block that way or whatever. The idea was their left-hand side would press heavy on us once the ball was in open play from our goal kicks. Evan Nilsson will make this loop and run this way, forcing the ball to Van de Ven, who at the start of the season wasn't quite as good at playing out from the back. I think he's progressed massively this season in that sense. But equally, Spence is right-footed. So he can't, it's not natural for him to receive the ball in this position, open up, and then play the ball down the line. It's just not natural for him to do so. And even if you did it on his right foot, a right footer in this position trying to pass along the line, it's a lot easier for someone to close him down and sort of block that pass. Do you see what I mean? And that's effectively their plan. They pressed us effectively diagonally in this direction. Let me use a... They effectively pressed us diagonally in this direction here to force us to our left side, which is why I think we cannot make the mistake of starting Spence at left back. But I've just got a feeling he does. I don't know why. I've got a feeling he will do the same as what he did last time. So let's reset this again and let's work out what I would do given how we know Bournemouth like to press and the lineup will go. Because we do have to go for a bit more defensive security. I understand that. But equally, we need to be able to get the ball up the pitch and score goals. It's literally the only aim of football. In my opinion, Thomas Frank should put Spence on the right wing and Pitt Davis on the left. Colomwani is a front striker. When he played for Frankfurt, he kills at the front. PSG, he was on the wing and his way. No, I agree. I don't think he is a winger. I just think this is just how we've been using him because we keep playing Richie every game, right? I had this earlier. It's on the thumbnail. What did I do? Oh, but I had Porro, to be fair. I hear your concerns about putting Porro. I get that. Let me explain why I originally had Porro. And this is mainly from improving us in possession, which will be tough, to be fair. Excuse me. Romero, Van de Ven, Vicario, I think that stays the same. I personally, and yeah, again, can't believe I'm saying this, I personally would go Davis as left back. I want a naturally left-footed player. I thought him and Tell did quite well in that first half when we were being a bit more intense. I thought that was pretty good. Xavi, I want back in the 10. I don't want to see another centre mid playing there ever again. This is the tough one. What do you do? I don't want to see Bentancur play again. I don't think he's been... But then Palhinha hinders us so much when trying to play out the back that I don't think it helps us either. Palhinha, Gray. Would I want Bergvall more? You know what? Probably because it's away from home. Because it's away from home, I'd go Palhinha, Gray. But that's tough, man. Both have not been very good at receiving the ball and turning on the pivot. I think Bergvall is better at that. I don't think you can play Gray and Palhinha at the same time. But I don't want to play Bentancur. This is the problem. Our options are crap. But if I put Bergvall in, he just would never play him there. He plays him as a 10. He's never going to play him in that 8 position with Xavi in. Gray and Bergvall, I agree, is what Richard is what I would like us to do. Because I want us to put trust in the youth. I want us to put trust in the younger players. But this just goes to show that we have a massive, massive issue in our centre mid area, that we can't get a combination that works with what we've got. Boris, thing is, the downside with Bergvall, he gives the ball away far too much in our own half and falls down like it's nothing. Yeah. There's a bit, and the only other thing as well, and this is mainly when he comes on as a sub, to be fair, he loves to foul people, which is a problem. Which is a big problem. He loves to foul people and get a yellow card. But I don't want to see Benton. I think Bentancur's been really poor. And Palhinha, as much as he's great at tackling, he offers nothing else when it comes to progressing the ball or being comfortable on the ball or being able to turn on the half turn and open the game up a little bit. If he was to receive the ball here, he doesn't show enough. Neither does Bentancur. Gray does, to be fair to him. Gray does show himself. I know he made the mistake against Forest, but he does show himself in these positions. We might have to come back to that. I'm going to put Gray and Bergvall there for now. This is, bearing in mind, this is like what I would do if I miraculously became manager of Tottenham. But to me, this just screams like this is a headache. This just screams to me that we have big issues here. Excuse me. Like as soon as he loses the ball, he loses his head and fouls the opposition and ends up giving them more of an advantage so they can... No, yeah, I agree. Which is why he probably won't start, to be honest. Rather see us go down having a go, which I think we should get with younger players. No, mate, honestly, genuinely would agree with you 100%. I just know for a fact this isn't going to happen. He will not play Gray and Bergvall as our centre mids. But you know what? Screw it. This is my team. Why can't I get rid of this? It's like frozen. What the hell's going on here? This whole page is like crashed. What is going... I genuinely can't move that circle, and it's not letting me undo it. All right, okay, that circle's just there forever. What is going on? I don't think there's like a rubber or anything. Like, that's not undoing anything, and usually you can move it. But I can't. I can move players. I can't move the... Right, anyway. We've got a problem in midfield. That just highlights it. It's my team. This is what I'm going to do. Come on, Richard. Right, so I'll explain in a second sort of why I would go for this. I definitely would start Xavi. I think we need to, having missed him in the last 3 matches. And it speaks volumes that we've not been able to score a goal from open play in 5 matches without him there. I know he wasn't there for 3 of them, but still, I think we need someone like him in this game. Now, I think on this right-hand side... No, what did I think I had... Hold on, sorry, I've got to remember what I did. I need to look at my thumbnail. I can't remember how I did it now. Where is it? So I need to write this down. Oh, no, that is... No, I did remember. I did remember. Ah, see, now do I want to do that? You know, when you talk something out loud, you kind of like... You change your mind and you... Doesn't do enough defensive work. Oh, my God, this is a nightmare. You know, when you think something out loud and you realise, wait, actually, there's quite big holes in this. Let me explain from... So this is roughly what I was thinking, right? I did have Odebear instead of Tell, but I think this works. Let me explain why I thought this general lineup would be good in possession for Spurs. And it's more to do with like how people occupy spaces, where we can create chances from. I'm not really going to move the Bournemouth players too much on this. Given the fact that I want Davis playing, right? And we saw what I thought worked really well against Sunderland in that first half was Tell in this position over here, when he had the ball, had the ability... In fact, let me show this from like a... Because teams normally defend in like a 4-4-2 shape. So let me show this in... I don't know if that's like completely accurate with Bournemouth. I assume it is because it seems to be like the thing that most teams do. Teams mainly defend in a 4-4-2 shape across the Premier League. Okay? And I really like Tell on the left wing. I want to see him more there just to see what he can do. Excuse me. So my cough has been so bad recent weeks. What I liked about Tell in that first half is that when he had the ball, he could come out wide. He's not the same as Odebear. He can't really take on a player as well. He did actually do a good job of driving into these positions here, then almost coming back on himself and coming here and then shooting, which is something none of our other players do. So I like that. But the good thing with him is he can start out wide. Davis can come into this sort of half space here. The ball can come here. And because Davis is left-footed, he was able to whip a ball into the box here to our forwards. And the other sort of reason why I like starting Colin Mawani in this sense, I don't want him right wing normally, but we just simply don't have that many options. We simply don't have that many options. So I was thinking, if you almost treat Colin Mawani as a second striker, you've got Richie, Colin Mawani, you've got Tell here. In fact, it'd be more like Richie there, Colin Mawani there, filling the gaps. If the ball was, say Davis had the ball from this position here, Tell out wide, Xavi would sort of be in this gap here. You'd either look for a through ball or even trying to get on it himself, or whether the cross comes in, he's sort of waiting in the area as well, sort of in and around this mark. I think Xavi's most comfortable in this half space. In this gap here, I think is where Xavi is most comfortable. So I think he can sort of dictate play here. He can make dummy runs here whilst Davies crosses in, or he could play a through ball to him if the option's on. I think as well as that, excuse me, Porro would sort of be in these positions here, roughly, ready for a counter-attack, but also if the ball does come out to him, he can also whip the cross from this side as well. But Porro can effectively hold the width on this side, whilst Colin Mawani's over here. And then naturally, you would just have Van der Ven, Romero, Gray. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's hard to do this like exact as to where positions would be. So really, if teams were sat deep like that, Romero and Van der Ven would be here. Then Gray and Bergvall would be there. And then Porro is almost like a bit disjointed. He'd be more like that. So it's almost like a 3-2, 3-3-4, 3-2-5 sort of situation. Equally, Tell could make an inside run. Davis could overlap. And then that allows good rotations with Xavi coming into this spot. All of a sudden, we're building up in nice triangle shapes, which is something Tottenham Hotspur never do for some weird reason. But I think having people that are comfortable in their positions and, you know, literally the right-footed, as in correct-footed player, Davis now has multiple options. Can he feed a ball through this way for Tell to run onto and cut back? Can he maybe give the ball in, go himself? Obviously, be offside in that position, but you see what I mean. Could he go back to Xavi? Could Xavi create from this space, whether that's through to Tell or whip the ball in the same as he did there? And then vice versa, if he's got that and then maybe he's getting shut down by someone else, is there room for Davis to come back in this position? Can Tell come back in this way? And then you knock it around. And I think you could build like a good relationship with these three on this side. I think that could work. And you've got Porro sort of back for the most part, but really and truly, I think there are times where the ball can be on that side. And then because Colin Mawani, even though he's technically starting on the right wing, he could almost go into the box as a striker, and then it would almost be this way around now. So Xavi could come help create this side. Say Porro's got the ball out here. You've got Gray with him. Belva Romero just moving everyone along now. So let's say we're now attacking from that side of the pitch. It could almost look something like this. So you almost got like Davis can almost fill in that back three. You got a 3-2. You got Gray, Bergvall, and then Xavi's coming up to help link with Porro on this side. So almost these three can sort of dictate play a little bit on the right hand side. And Colin Mawani and Richie basically act as two strikers in possession. Even though it looks like a 4-2-3-1 on the team sheet, I think we could build up this way. And then that allows Porro to do what he does best. Although he's been off of it a little bit this season. But there's chances for Xavi to make a run. Could he pass it inwards? Does Porro have a time early enough to get a cross in? Can Bergvall crash into the box in this instance? Does he need to give it to Gray to invite some pressure to then pull out wide a bit more? And then Xavi sort of, they could link up 3 this way. I think there's good combinations that you can do with this lineup. It's definitely a braver lineup than Thomas Frank is going to choose. I can tell you that for a fact. But I do hear your shouts of Semenyo being a massive danger on the counter. So to be fair, that could easily be Spence. We're not going to get the same crossing ability, but then maybe that's where Xavi comes in. Because Xavi against Copenhagen, if you remember, actually was in this sort of right half space a lot more than he was on the left side. And he managed to deliver some really good balls into Colomboani at the back post against Copenhagen. So that's a possibility. And then you've got Spence Spence can almost act more as like on the defensive side of things and worry for transition. So you've got the 3, you've got the 2. Davis can push on a little bit. You've got Colomboani, you've got Richie. Maybe Colomboani can make him run near post. Richie in the middle. Tell can join in here. You've got Davis sort of loitering around this space as an option if Xavi wants to create that way. I think that there's good combinations can be made with this. Now, the big question is, how many times at Bournemouth away are we going to be able to be in this scenario? Because they press really, really high. I don't think we're going to get a crazy amount of opportunities to be on the ball as much like this as like what I'm illustrating. But I'm just saying, if we were in possession, higher up the pitch, that's how I would like us to do it. And like I said, I normally would have Porro there because I think you need Porro's crossing ability from these positions. But I do hear the fact that, Spence could shut down Semenyo a bit more. But realistically, I think Spence has looked better on the left than he did on the right. I know it's not going to be Bergvall and Gray. But I just really can't stand the thought of it being Bentancur and Palhinha. The other option that I was thinking was that this could be Odegaard instead. And he almost acts... Oh, Odegaard. Almost can do that sort of 2-10 system when we're building up again. So Tell's out wide here. You've got Xavi and Odegaard sort of with Richie. And then Porro's the one that's creating the width on this side. Maybe Davis comes forward to support. And you sort of build up that way. 2-3-5. 3-2-5. 3-2-5. Maybe you could do it that way. You have Odegaard can go right, can go middle. It's tough. It's really tough. But I think the thing for me is, because Bournemouth do press you so high, especially when we have the ball, and we saw that in that home game against them. Sorry, it's hard to move things one by one. Because they're going to be on us on the edge of the area from the get-go. Excuse me. It is another reason as to why I would like Tell playing. Because I think Tell, we have underutilized him. I don't think he's a lone striker. I do think if you're going to play Tell, though, I would rather have Colomboani there, I think. Because I think what Colomboani is quite good at, which we saw at Everton away, and there was one other game, and I can't remember, but he was actually quite good at dropping into these deeper positions. And if they do go man-to-man, which we know Bournemouth like to do, that could drag Senesi out. We know Senesi likes to be on the edge of this area here, because for some reason he's played the most balls into the box of any defender this season, which is mental. So could Colomboani almost make like a dummy run to get the ball when we're sort of building up the back? Link up play with Xavi, which he did quite well against Everton. And then that would allow Tell to then make the run. Tell would almost be like a second striker in building up this way. And that would leave big spaces. Could Odegaard potentially run into that space for a through ball if they press us really high up the pitch? Could it be through to Tell? I say through balls like we play them, but but when you've got Xavi on the pitch, it's more like that. Or at least Xavi can drive forward like he did against Slavia Prague, which opens up the game a little bit. Next thing you know, you're 3-on-3 because Colin Mawani, I think, could do a good job at dragging the defenders out if they press really high on us. Because I do think they will go man-to-man, especially at home. So if we do manage to bypass them, whether that's a ball from Van der Ven through to Colin Mawani and he's dragged Senesi away, or Hill away, whichever one it is, but Senesi likes to go forward quite a bit. Is there a way of them linking up together to then build up quickly? That's a possibility. That's how I would see the game going. Which is also why I think you need Porro. I think it's going to be we saw Chelsea versus Bournemouth. My goodness, that game was end to end. And if you're going for end-to-end matches, I think you're going to need quick players and players more suited to running into space on counter-attacks. And I think that's what, Colin Mawani, Oda Bertel, they could be quite good at. Richie, in my opinion, is far too slow to do that. And then Porro could play long balls through, depending on how high they press. So this is a rough outline of how I would set us up against Bournemouth in two situations. One, if they press us high, like in this scenario. And again, like I just showed you before, if maybe they're a little bit more settled in defence, if we manage to gain a bit more possession on the edge of their area. I would love for Davis to be a dog in this situation, but if he's not fully fit, I don't think he starts. So that's where but I do want a left-footed left-back playing in this match. I think they were so good at shoving the ball towards Spence last time where we couldn't progress the ball that well. That I think we'll just struggle again if Spence is there. Do we even get our attacking unit that high up the pitch, George? Last time we played Bournemouth, they pinned us far back. It was funny. No, I agree. That's exactly what I was saying. Like, that it's rare that we're going to be in that situation. It's more likely going to be this, where let's build a scenario. Okay. Van der Ven normally takes our goal kicks now. Let's build a scenario in our heads. Let's assume they're going to do something similar to what they did to us in the last match. Van der Ven, and I'll be so intrigued to see if this plays out like in real time. Van der Ven, short to Vicario. We're now in play. Romero comes out wide. Van der Ven comes out wide. Davis will be out wide. Ignore the exact personnel for now, but it could be something like this. 4-2-4, build up from goal kicks. Vicario now has an open play. They might not do this exactly now because obviously if Spence isn't playing, then they won't necessarily need to do this, but Evan Nilsson could press the ball. Krupa Jr., Adley, whoever it is, could go towards Romero. Semenyo towards Porro. Scott, Tavernier could actually... I'm trying to think, what did they do last time? I think, because Tavernier was in the 10, wasn't he? What did Tyler Adams do last time? I think Brooks would be more towards, I think it would be something like this. You would have Krupa ready to go for Romero, Evan Nilsson to go towards the ball, Semenyo on Porro. Then you've got 4-on-4 here, and Brooks almost has got to go towards Van der Ven and Davis, depending on if the ball comes that way. They would force the ball towards Vicario in this situation. Vicario to Van der Ven in this situation. Van der Ven has got a lot better at playing out the back. I would like to think Brooks then comes in more at this angle to sort of close off the pass from Davis. I'm hoping that leaves a gap in the middle that we can exploit towards Xavi. If there's a big enough gap, it goes towards Xavi. And then we can go on the break. It's 4v4. You've got a much better chance of Tel being able to go through this way, or Colin Mawani through the middle. Maybe Xavi can turn, drive a little bit, play a through ball that we never seem to do apparently. I think it's going to have to be quick. It's going to have to be precise. But I think that's how we have to build up against Bournemouth. They're going to press relentlessly the moment this is in play. It's got to be quick to Van der Ven. Where is Brooks in this scenario? Where's Tavernier in this scenario? Does one show, which brings Scott towards this way, does that leave space here for Odobert to get a ball over the top? Will that happen? There's a possibility that could happen. Or Gray shows... I mean, this would be dangerous. If Gray shows here to try and bounce it towards Romero, which could easily happen if Evan Nilsson's making his run towards Van der Ven at this point to close him down. Gray, could he pop it to Romero? But if you've got a Krupi Jr. or Adley closing him down this way as well, could be dangerous. It's going to have to be precise. Our passing is going to have to be extremely accurate for this to work. Or can we get the ball quick enough to Davis, who on his left foot is far more likely to be able to either play it inwards towards Xavi if he shows, or can he go over the top towards Tell, towards Odobert, which is exactly why I don't want to see like Richarlison left wing for some reason. We're more often than not, we're going to be building up in this 4-2-4 shape from goal kicks if we aren't going long, if we're playing short. It will look like this if we're going short. We need wingers who are able to turn their man and drive forward, and I think Tell and Odobert can do that quite well. And then Xavi can almost show in the middle for it. Even like I said before, maybe dummy runs. Like I said, Colin Moani was really good against Everton at coming in deeper. Could he maybe make a dummy run and bring a defender out to create the space for whether it's Van der Ven Davis to make a switch to Odobert or over to Xavi or what? There's so many scenarios that could play out. But the main thing for me is no matter how you plan it, the players have to be on job. Whether if you are going to do this quick bounce to Romero and move it along, that's got to be accurate first time, quick, boom. No sitting on the ball in this position. We know Romero likes to sit on the ball. We know he likes to stop play and invite pressure. But when they press as aggressively as Bournemouth do, especially at home, you're not going to get that time. Luckily, Romero is good at passing out the back, so I would expect him to be able to find the pass. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy by any means. And I do worry when Vicario gets on the ball in this scenario. Say that happened again. Van der Ven's just taken the goal kick. Vicario, he's under pressure. I can see us going long. I can see us losing duels because that's one thing. Well, there's a couple of things I think Tel massively needs to prove on. I think he needs to prove on winning his aerial battles and stuff like that. So if we played long to him, would that work? Maybe that's why we go Colin Moani and maybe that's Colin Moani and Richie then. If we know we have to go long quite a few times, do we then almost, as if it's two strikers, do we try and play it long to them? I don't know. Brooks will play in the gaps between midfield and forward as we don't step in close to close that space down. Brooks will play in the gaps between midfield and forward as we don't step in to close it. Oh, sorry, yes. Yes. In the pockets. I guess sort of in this area, I guess. Yeah. Is it time to give Kinski a game? Not this one. I reckon Kinski against Villa. I would actually really like to see Kinski against Villa in the Cup. I don't want to rotate heavily, but I think I would like to see Kinski in that match to see what he can do. I'm really annoyed that I can't get rid of this blue circle now. I can't even move it. I know this looks like a mess, but I hope to you guys that are watching that this all makes sense. What I'm trying to get at here. In all our games, we don't move enough to give the man on the ball options. No, I agree. I think that's why I said it's more about you can put a plan into place, but if the players don't do it easily enough, if Bergvall or Gray are up here, if I think Gray does show, to be fair, but his quality on the ball to be able to turn a player has not been that great. Obviously made that mistake against Forest. He definitely would have learnt from that now, so I don't think he will take that touch in this scenario. And who am I kidding? It's not going to be Gray and Bergvall anyway. It'll be Gray and Bentancur and Palinha. But the same applies for them. Whoever this midfielder is, they've got to show. But that's again why I would not start Bentancur or Palinha. I think both have been woeful this season when it comes to showing for the ball when a defender or has it in our box and we're trying to build up. They've been woeful. They hide. Palinha hides here. Like, you can't do anything in these scenarios. Bentancur, again, always seems to be behind the players and not in positions to receive. Like, this is why I personally would go Graham Bergwell, even though I know 1,000,000% this ain't going to happen. Do you know what I mean? The thing is, I think with the players we have available, realistically, a 3 at the back, and this is the last thing I'm going to touch on before we finish up, because I've been streaming for an hour and a half now. Wow, I was only supposed to do like an hour. It's just taking a lot longer to explain ideas than I thought it would. What does a 3 at the back Spurs look like, though? I think if it's a 3 at the back Spurs and you're not really going for wingers, it probably will be Richie and Colomwani, Romero, Van der Ven, and let's just make Odobert Danzo. I think it would be something like this. Maybe Danzo in the middle, Romero out wide. I don't think it really makes too much of a difference. If a doggy was playing, I would say this is actually probably the ideal formation to go with. Because I think what's good about a 3 at the back with the players we have available to us is, one, when we played PSG, I thought Colomwani and Richie up top together actually kind of worked, because when balls came over the top, because they were closer in position, Colomwani was able to flick onto Richie and vice versa, and then one was at the back post while one was here. Like, they were able to get close to each other in the middle of the park, which I think worked. I think when Richie gets isolated, I just don't think he does well enough. So I think this formation definitely supports those two in terms of how they play. I think when it comes to building up in-game, there's a few things that can happen. One, Van der Ven comes out here. Davies presses on. Romero, Danzo, Porro. You almost form this 4-2, and then it almost becomes a 4-2-4 again. Xavi could go to the right side. Davis could pump up top. You could build up in this sort of shape. Now, Davis isn't exactly the best player here. I would love for this to be Udogie if this was the plan. Maybe this is something we do in the second half if Udogie comes on. If Udogie comes on, potentially he could come and do this role. But I think Davis would start. In fact, if we were going 3 at the back and we were being a lot more offensive, as much as I want a left-footed left-back, maybe Spence works. I only say that because maybe what can happen in that scenario is Spence drives a bit more centrally. Bergwall can crash forward, almost act as like another 10. Van der Ven, Romero, Danzo, Porro can come. There's so many things you could do. You can almost build up this way. And then realistically, Udogie has been training Teal Bicycle, but I don't know if he's available for selection. He said Solanke isn't, but I don't know about Udogie. So maybe building up something like this could work potentially. This is obviously higher up the pitch. You wouldn't do this from Vicario. This would be if Romero had it sort of towards the halfway line. If it was from a goal kick, again, you're looking more likely like it will be like a 4 like this. 2, and then maybe, yeah, like I said, maybe Spence inverts, or maybe Spence does just keep a bit of width. It's not ideal. Let's go with, I think Davis is the best play. And obviously Xavi can rotate, being this almost 10, pulls out wide in certain scenarios, comes inwards. And to be fair, Xavi's actually got really good defensive work rate. I will give him that. He actually has got really good defensive work rate. So he could potentially help track back with Semenyo and when Truffaut pushes on. I think this could potentially work. The same, but just on the other side. This also means if it's a back 3, Davis can slot in. Danzo moves to that right back position like he did against PSG in the Super Cup. Porro pushes on. This could be good for attacking wise. So Porro could push on. Richie, Colomwani, then Xavi can move to the left. Or he can run through the middle. Colomwani can be to the left. And you almost build up this way. Or you can go Romero to Danzo, Danzo to Porro. You don't leave him that many options. There's not... I wouldn't link him up with Richie. Richie kind of want in the box. It probably would be either Colomwani on that side, Xavi on the left, maybe something like that. Or you'd want Xavi in support with Porro with... It won't be both. It would be Gray if it was in this scenario. So that those three can link up. Something like that, maybe. I don't know. I can see it happening both ways. I can see a 3 at the back for sure, especially because the winger options aren't incredible. But I think I preferred my version before, when it was Tell, Odebert, and either Colomwani or Richie. Oh, sorry that's taken a long time. But yeah, that's what I'll do. I hope you guys enjoyed this sort of breakdown of Spurs versus Bournemouth, how I think it's going to go. Listen, I've gone through plenty of scenarios in that instance of how we could potentially break down Bournemouth. They're going to press really high, so what we were talking about high up the pitch won't happen as often, but if we do get in those scenarios where we're towards their box and we've got a bit more possession, I'd like us to see us build that way. If not, then look, maybe a 3 at the back is the way to go. I just worry that if we go to 3 at the back, then we're just going to end up doing what we did at Arsenal, and it's going to come a back 5 because they press us so high, and then we're just going to have no outlets, and we're going to struggle. So in my opinion, I think if you want to be quote unquote defensive, you need to have a better attack. If you have a better attack, you can hold the ball better, and I think it stops them from getting the ball more. And in my opinion, I think that works best doing that sort of 4-2-3-1. You build up in a 4-2-4 shape from the goal kick with Vicario at the back. I think Van der Ven's much better at playing out the back now than he was the first time we played Bournemouth this season. And I also think if we played Davis, we'll be a lot more comfortable building out the back in that 4-2-4 rather than Spence on the left-hand side. Because I think once he gets shut down on that inside lane from Brooks or Evan Nilsson or whoever it might be, if you've got a right-foot play in that scenario, I don't think it would work. So I think Davis pretty much has to play if a doggy's not fully fit to start, in my opinion. And yeah, I'd love to see Gray back in the team. Xavi back in the team, which I'm sure he will be. Surely he's not on the bench after being out for 3 games. I hope not. But I'm expecting an extremely, extremely tough test against even though it's a Bournemouth side that haven't won in 11 games, we know what Tottenham are like. It's going to be Semenyo send-off match as well to the home crowd. It's not going to be an easy ride at all. But I just want us to be braver on the ball. I want us to be more precise with our passing. That's the thing that's been really, really disappointing. I know I've been on about like Thomas Frank's tactics not being great. But really and truly, when I'm seeing some players passing the ball 5 yards off the pitch, or not even next to their teammate, and we lose possession, no amount of tactics can save someone in that sort of scenario. So hopefully we improve in that sense. It's got to be precise. It's got to be quick. Otherwise, the ball's going to get turned over, and Bournemouth are going to have a field day. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this. I'm going to be doing a stream after the Bournemouth match, reacting to what happened, as I'm not going to the game. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys for the next one.